Rock here with March 1st, Wednesday, 9:23 a.m. Central Standard Time. For watching us live. Crypto market cap sitting at $1.079 trillion. Bitcoin sitting at 23,680. ETH at 1654. Binance coin at 303. Cardano 36 cents. Dogecoin 8.2 cents. Matic $1.24. Can see things haven't moved a whole lot here in the past 24 hours. Looks to be that we are coming up a little bit on the Dow Jones Industrial Average after opening. It is important to note that we did drop pretty close to like 150, 200 points upon the opening. We'll see if this trend continues onto the later parts of the day. It is important to note that we also are at a significant level, because if this does not hold, it looks to be that we're probably going to drop to maybe 32,000 roughly, if 32.5, 32.6 doesn't hold. So do need to be more or less prepared for that scenario if it does play out. After that, probably looking at, I hate to say it, but like 31.5, somewhere around there, if that 32 doesn't hold. So time will tell upon that. Looking at Bitcoin, 15-minute chart, things not looking great for Bitcoin. And see that it did retest more or less lines of support right around 23K here in the past 24 hours. Did have a spike roughly up to 24K. Got rejected. We tried going up to 24K again. Got shot down just shy of that, right around 23.9. And now we're right around 23.7, trying to hold these lines of support right around 23,550 and 23,600. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, as we discussed yesterday, Bitcoin's kind of at a pivotal moment, in the sense that it does not look good for Bitcoin being underneath just being barely above the 20-week SMA or EMA, sorry, or what's the indicator that we're using? Yeah, the 20 EMA. So if Bitcoin doesn't hold this, it's not a good sign. On the weekly, again, we discussed how we are above the EMA or whatever, on the weekly, but on the monthly and day time frame, we're not above it, especially not on the monthly. So again, I'm not bullish, is what I'm trying to say. DXY seems to have gone a little bit on a rally here in the past few hours. It went as low as almost at 104. Right now we're sitting at 104.579. It went as high as nearly 104.7. I do think DXY is about to go on a tear, but that could just be my biased perspective of expecting lower markets. But headed over to Twitter for some news. Twitter went down. Bitcoin never goes down. So you should adopt some Bitcoin. Live crypto saying breaking. Apparently, some guy in Shanghai is selling $29 trillion worth of Ethereum soon. This is an obvious joke, taking a piss out of the Shanghai upgrade FUD. It surprises me how many people are taking it seriously. While I don't think there's $29 trillion worth of ETH up for sale right now, I think she is slightly downplaying a little bit of the potentiality of some downside sell pressure upon those tokens unlocking. Crypto OGs, but only advise when it's buy the tip time. You must buy the dip time. You must be so mad. Once you understand liquidity, you'll realize that they only promote to pump their own bags. Find someone making money in the bear market, showing profit and loss for real. little perspective from Alexander Lorenzo. Voyager coming out with a tweet saying Voyager customer voting on the company's Chapter 11 plan has concluded and finalized. Of those who participated, 97% of customers, representing 98% of the total claims, voted in favor. So only 1% voted against the proposal. I think most investors at this point in time, the Voyager deal falling through with FTX, I think everyone would just be happy to get some funds back. That's why most people are opting into this. And essentially, people are happy with taking a haircut as long as they get some money back as opposed to nothing, which is looking like the scenario to happen more likely than not with a Celsius. Not going to say we're not going to get anything back, but I can tell you that as of right now, I'm maybe going to get back like 5 to 10% of my funds over on that platform. That's not to say things can't develop for the better, but I'm not very hopeful with Celsius. So I think most people are on the same boat as me, and I think we just want a deal to go through with Voyager, even if we only get like 30 to 50% of our funds back. Better than nothing, that's for sure. CZ Binance tweeting out there are confusions between terms, line staking, yield, earn, savings, etc. They are subtle but important differences. I usually understand / define them as the following. Staking refers to locking your coins on a blockchain to get rewards by helping with validating blocks. You maintain control of your funds, i.e., your keys. Staking rewards are usually governed at the protocol level and are highly predictable. Lending is when you lend your funds to someone else to get interest. Um, you can no longer maintain control of the funds. If that person / entity goes down, you lose your principal. Risk profile here is very different from staking. Yield or APY, annual percentage yield, usually refers to the interest rate on an annual basis. Not much to it here. Earnings, savings, or other names are product names different platforms may use. These may refer to one or any combination of the above. They don't always mean the same things, especially across different platforms. Um, what's it called? I think this is kind of interesting that he's putting this out right now, considering the fact that staking refers to locking your coins on a blockchain to get rewards by helping with validating blocks. You maintain control of your funds. Technically, you do not have control of your funds when you do stake, depending on the platform. I know for Binance, for example, I staked some, and I'm not trying to just single out Binance, but I think he needs to do a little research on what staking really is, because over on Binance, your platform, CZ or Binance US to be exact, if I tie up my coins, let's say I tie up Cosmos, um, upon wanting to unstake my Cosmos, I need to wait 3 weeks. Anything can happen between those 3 weeks. And if Binance US goes under for whatever reason, then I don't get my Cosmos back and I don't get the yield that I got from staking. So while some platforms don't have you tie up your funds entirely when you stake, I'd say more often than not, you are required to tie up your assets for staking. So I don't think CZ is being entirely honest and clear with what he's saying here. And it's kind of interesting to note that um, the BTC / Binance USD or BUSD trading pair has seen a significant amount of action in the past few months. Um, especially in the past 2 months. Could this be Binance being smart enough to load up on Bitcoin with BUSD, considering fears, with SEC targeting Paxos and going after Binance for their stablecoin BUSD? This recent Bitcoin run up saw Bitcoin being bought up, with BTC slash BUSD trading pair. Was this Binance trying to collateralize their BUSD with Bitcoin? It could very well be, the SEC is targeting BUSD, wants to make the USD stablecoin essentially the stablecoin of choice, or the stablecoin global reserve, or whatever, digital dollar essentially. So they're going after Binance USD. Did Binance see the writing on the wall and essentially collateralize their BUSD with Bitcoin? Again, things are definitely pointing into that direction. My guess is to not go long if this is the case, or if you think this is likely the case, because I think it's a house of cards waiting to essentially collapse. It's possible Binance may fall, something big will occur, sending Bitcoin to 14K. That could be considered FUD, misinformation. I'm not here to tell you otherwise. I think that you need to be prepared for anything. You need to be prepared if Bitcoin goes to 30K. You need to be prepared if Bitcoin goes to 20K. You need to be prepared for either scenario. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Investing isn't about predicting the market. It's about adapting to the market. Adapting and willingness to be wrong. With great pride comes a great fall. You can't change opportunities, stop presenting themselves. Here we have Fed's Kashkari saying we are not in a recession, even though so many indicators say otherwise. And what's interesting to note about this is if the Federal Reserve thinks we are not in a recession, there will be nothing holding them back from essentially doing more rate hikes to kill demand, whether it comes to the demand in gas, the demand in housing, the demand across the board. They want to squash it, and they don't care if they make millions of people unemployed as a result. So again, if the Fed's saying we are not in a recession, um, again, remember they're late to things. So the Fed printed a bunch of money, it put it into the system. People spent that money like crazy, stimulating the economy, you know, and ultimately, people bought houses, people bought cars, people took out massive loans. That because the stimulus checks have dried up in the past year or so, in some places longer than that. These people are no longer able to afford the mortgage payment. They're no longer able to um, make the car payment, pay back that loan. And then on top of that, because of the Federal Reserve raising the interest rates, places that employ people, like businesses and such, well, they got squashed and they had to fire a bunch of people because the stimulus money wasn't going into their accounts anymore because people stopped buying goods and services or stopped buying as much. So demand across the board has gone down significantly, but inflation, as we've discussed many, many times, is nowhere near where the Federal Reserve wants it to be. So I think we still have at least 3 to 6 months of Federal Reserve trying to kill demand, but that's just my perspective, not financial advice. Justin, Jack Dorsey says Twitter was set to implement Bitcoin Lightning tips on tweets before he left. When add Bitcoin tips on tweets at Elon Musk. Here, again, kind of reiterating what we just said. Over to you at Elon Musk. Instant tips on Lightning. It already works. This is what a tip would look like. I certainly would love to receive some tips in Bitcoin over on Twitter, even if it's just a few sats here, a few sats there. In the long haul, it will make a difference. Speaking of Elon Musk, Chinese Communist Party has warned at Elon Musk to stop sharing the report stating that COVID-19 came from a Wuhan lab. What are they going to do? Shut down the Tesla factories? Um, I do think Elon Musk will fall in line to some extent because he does realize that he has a lot to lose if the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP essentially shuts down his Tesla factory or factories over in mainland China. Again, this could send the price of Tesla cars going back up, as recently they've been discounted. And so yeah, I think Elon will fall in line. He'll shut up for a bit just to make the CCP happy. Over in Florida, training thousands of gallons of propane tank derails. Currently, multiple authorities, including hazmat crews, are responding to a train derailment in Manatee County, Florida. One of the tankers is carrying over 30,000 gallons of propane fuel, along with several other cars. So far, no leaks have been detected, along with no injuries, officials are saying. So just another train derailment, just another day in America. Meanwhile, we have actor Sean Penn, who discriminated against the unvaccinated, is now urging Biden to send combat planes and long range weapons to Ukraine. They need more ammunition, more long range precision weapons, and yes, fighter jets, according to Sean Penn. So he's beating the warmongering drum of we need more military gear, we need more weapons to kill people essentially. Here we have Zelensky warning the U.S. what will happen if Ukraine loses. The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending our sons and daughters to war because it's NATO that we're talking about and they will be dying. Yeah. I personally, I think the U.S. Is making a very, very stupid decision to engage in this engage in aiding a country like Ukraine because more and more countries around the world are starting to uh, more or less side with Putin on a number of issues regarding the war, and a lot of people are starting to turn their backs on the U.S. And Ukraine. So I think this is kind of troubling. Also, that we have the uh, the guy over at Pentagon, I forgot his name, Austin Lloyd. I forgot what position he holds there. But essentially, he said the quiet part out loud that the U.S. is aiding Ukraine with weapons and everything they need to fight off Russia, which is like something you're not supposed to say um, directly to the populace when engaging in a proxy war like we are over in Ukraine. It would have just been he could have just left it at the fact that, oh yeah, we're taking care of the people in Ukraine with humanitarian aid and stuff like that. Like he could have kept it pretty vague, but instead he's telling the American public, the American taxpayer, yeah, we're using your hard-earned tax dollars to fund these neo Nazis and fight Putin to the death, essentially. Well, I'll be damned. An American soldier went to Ukraine and pretended to be on the side of Ukraine. He gathered all the intel he could on the Ukrainian army, defected to the Russian side. He says this was always his intention. So here we have a U.S. mercenary in Ukraine speaking about war crimes, CIA involvement. He switched sides because he felt that the Ukrainian army was being dishonest, along with mainstream media here in the West being dishonest with what's really going on over in Ukraine. I know the West wants us to hate Putin, but I swear he's the only one that talks sense in this weird modern world. Heidi knocks some sense and says all central banks and their puppets are in collusion with each other. Look no further than the sniffle crisis over the past 2.5 years, where countries were in lockstep with each other. So essentially, just don't fall for the shtick that there's two sides. They're more or less working with one another to divvy up the world the way they see fit. Jimmy Dore talks about comments on this tweet. The tweet says, "Waiting for the calls that will never come back from some old friends who question my very sanity. One by calling my wife when I failed to get with the Fauci script back when." Jimmy Dore gives him the harsh, cold reality, saying, "Yeah, it's not coming. People I've known for 30 years turned on me because they believe the words of proven big pharma criminals and government monsters because they were scared. They're just cowards who betrayed not only me, but themselves and their own integrity. Better off without them." Yeah, I agree, Jimmy Dore. The latest pandemic and everything, you know, surrounding it essentially drew pretty big lines in the sand with how people deal with one another and how people view one another. Many people are in this camp, this mindset that if we do not agree, whether masks are effective or not, or whether medical procedures are as good as they say they are, whether we agree or not that big pharma did most of this just to make a big buck off of everyone, who fell for it, then we can't be friends altogether. Even though for a long time people disagreed with one another, but could be adults about it and have a conversation about it. But instead, many people who happen to have fallen in line with the government propaganda, big pharma propaganda, are of the mindset that if you don't agree with me, we can't be friends. I'm gonna stop talking to you. I'm not gonna hang out with you. And I've seen it firsthand. Like I'm pretty vocal about how I view things and such, and I've been kind of I've lost a few friends during the pandemic because of it. People don't agree with the way what I believe in, and so they view it as, oh well, since we don't agree on everything, then we can't be friends. And it's like, wow, you're you're a man baby, you're still a child. You still need to grow up. Like, my goodness. Um, I'll leave it with this. This picture is not photoshopped. Is the small Danish town of they're gonna try and pronounce that where the largest solar park in northern Europe is being built, completely surrounding the town, making the values of the homes drop to absolute zero and directly forcing people to move. Some people are starting to question whether the latest motives of governments around the world, whether it's the United States or not, are essentially letting these disasters happen. So then the area becomes less inhabitable, and so because less people want to live there, the people that happen to still live there are essentially forced to sell their property, their house, whatever it may be, for a huge discount. I know, for example, over in East Palestine, Ohio, for example, I believe houses on there prior to the incident with the train derailment with vinyl chloride being blown up right on location. I believe houses were like a third of the national average, and when it comes to price. So now those houses are probably going to be, with a recent incident, maybe worth. a fifth of the price of a house on average here in America. Meaning, asset management companies like BlackRock, etc., Fidelity can just buy it up, which means there's less houses that people own, which means more and more people will be renting, and kind of ties back to the narrative that by 2030 you will own nothing and be happy. But that's just my little theory. What do you guys think? You guys think something different? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say and think about this, about all of this. If you guys found today's video entertaining, informative, educational, in any way, shape, or form, please drop me a like and subscribe. Please hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live next. Please share the video with your friends and family. It essentially forces the algorithm to put my video higher so that way people actually. So there's that. Until tomorrow, please take care and invest wisely. I'll see you guys all tomorrow, hopefully around 9:30. Until then, take care and invest.